What up, Hotheads? It's John, in the Edit Bay, coming at you with another Echo Base Nights, which, in retrospect, we should have called Hoth Pockets. I mean, it's obvious now, right? Maybe we'll use that for something else. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about what we thought of the Rise of Skywalker trailer and the Mandalorian trailer. What we're worried about, what we can't wait to see, all sorts of fun stuff. This is about 30-minute long episode, pretty short. Stay tuned to the end to hear a special message from Ian about something that's coming up or may have started, depending on when we release this episode.
Hey, John.
Hello, I am John.
You are John. John, there are some things that have occurred in the Star Wars world.
That doesn't sound right.
I know. Super weird. We got a lot of stuff coming up, which means we're going to be pumping out more content, hopefully.
Allegedly,
if life will get off of our backs for a little bit. Two of the things that are coming up here pretty shortly are Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian, both of which dropped trailers. And, we
final
haven't...
trailers.
Yeah, we haven't really
I think
talked...
The Mandalorian's a final trailer. Assuming it's got like 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. If they come up with another one, it's going to be a little like, really? Why hold out this long? But we got two of these trailers, and they're both pretty cool. And now everybody and their dog is going to be doing a trailer breakdown. So instead of going into every single thing and analyzing every frame, and we'll leave that to the professionals. And let's start with The Mandalorian. What gets you stoked to watch The Mandalorian from this trailer?
The same thing that kind of got me interested in Rogue One. It looks like it's going to be a story that doesn't focus on wiggly finger wizards with glow sticks. I've always been interested in seeing what the Star Wars world is without the Jedi, because, well, at least according to the prequels, there were around 10,000 Jedi or something like that at the time of the prequels, which seems like a lot, but if you spread them across an entire galaxy, there's not that many Jedi.
Right.
And most of the stories that we've gotten so far have revolved around that small clique of magic monks.
It's not because they're interesting or anything like that.
No. I agree, they're not interesting. I agree with you 100%, Ian. Jedi are not interesting.
Right. That's totally what I was getting at, with no sarcasm involved whatsoever.
I agree. I'm glad that you've been able to take this step into a larger world.
This is Jedi Lovers Anonymous.
No. It is not. That's next door.
The first step to healing is acceptance. No, I agree with you. I think it's going to be interesting to see a non-Force user based more of that content. Was there anything specific in the trailer that is like, oh, I want to see that, or I'm looking forward to seeing that scene?
There is a part of the trailer where the Mandalorian, as the title has called him, appears to rocket pack himself onto the top of a TIE fighter.
Yeah.
And we've never really been that close to a TIE fighter in the live action. I mean, like, physically camera, like, just hovering above the cockpit sort of thing. I think, like, the only thing that we've gotten that's similar in closeness, doesn't really make sense, besides, like, in cockpit shots, is the deleted or changed scene from Rogue One. It was, remember, it was in the trailer where Jin's, like, facing down a TIE fighter.
Yeah, that wasn't going to go well for her.
No, it did not seem like it would. But so I'm interested to see that, because it's something familiar, but it's a new angle on it, literally. And from what I've seen of the toy releases that are upcoming from the different conventions that Hasbro's been attending recently, it looks like the Imperial troopers that we see in it, or the Imperial forces, I should say, are or will be referred to as the Remnant forces, Remnant Imperials, which I don't know if has been canon or if they've just been calling them like remnant Imperial forces, but not like the remnant Imperial forces
I don't
from like
think.
back in the days.
Yeah, I think that got axed with the canon
Canon
split.
update. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got axed with the timeline split. But again, we're used to it by now, them worming in terms and other sort of popular things and reworking them for the current canon, which I approve of. So yeah, it'll be kind of cool to see the state of the Empire and the state of the rebellion right after the Civil War has come to at least a slowing point.
Right.
I am really looking forward to the underworld aspect and exploring that a little bit more. And I think like the scenes that really stand out to me are the cantina one where the Mandalorian traps that guy in a door. Well, he either
That was
traps the guy in the door or chops him in half. It cuts off slightly before.
a Quarren, right?
Yeah, it was Quarren, the tentacle squid-headed guys
From Dak.
from Dak or Moncal or
Dak.
It's got like 5 names, dude, and everybody refers to it differently. It's very annoying when one looks
Ocean
it up.
Planet.
Yeah.
Ocean Planet 2.
One little like side note, it's like a really dumb thing that I've harped on about in the podcast before that I really appreciate about The Mandalorian is that I saw 3 alien species that are familiar from like the original sort of expanded universe and the original movies and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah, awesome. Like we got the Quarren, we got the there's a Twi'lek, there are some Trandoshans. So I was like, oh good, yeah, like bringing it back and kind of connecting, getting more of those, because I think when you bring those sort of iconic aliens into the franchise, it really helps to kind of connect everything.
It's something that's been really lacking from the sequel trilogy, I think.
I agree, because they're just excited to keep making these new creatures, but like,
which is fine.
Right, mix
every time we see an old creature, he gets blown out of the bridge of his Mon Cal cruiser.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Poor Admiral Akbar. But yeah, so I'm excited to kind of see more of that outlaw bounty hunter edge of the known galaxy thing, because we've seen that before, but not really in the perspective of someone who lives there, right? It's always been the Jedi or the good guys are going into Jabba the Hutt's palace, or Luke and Obi-Wan are going into the cantina. It's always an outsider coming in, and we got a little taste of it in Solo, but I think seeing that especially in a miniseries where you can kind of explore a little bit further out, that'll be exciting. So I'm excited for that.
What do you think the story will be about?
What do I think the story will be about? I think it's going to be
about a Mandalorian. Nice.
Well, I think it's going to be using him as a focus. He's a Mandalorian. He's this legendary, warrior, but he's probably just a dude trying to get a job done and existing in this chaos, right?
Right.
So I think it's going to be using him as a point of view character to bridge the gap between these two very different time periods, one that we're very much used to and one that we haven't explored a lot on screen so far.
Yeah, my biggest worry about it will be that the story will follow some very tropey plot. The more I watch the trailers and I hear stuff from the crew, the more I'm worried that we're going to get Firefly in Star Wars. Just because of what the Mandalorian's profession is the side characters. I have this really bad feeling that he's going to come across a bounty that he can't morally take, and then he has to fight the people looking to get the bounty or something. And I've seen that story so much that I'm really hoping that's not what it's about.
I understand that worry. I don't know. I feel like if you're gonna do tropey stuff in a series, Star Wars is a series that can survive it, at least in terms of, the space Western genre. So yeah, it would be nice if they went out on a limb and did something new and different, but I don't think I'm going to dislike
if
it if they go down the trope
if they were
track.
going to like copy, not copy's not the right word, but be similar to an existing property, but I think something like Cowboy Bebop, where there's kind of like an underlying complete story, but not every episode has to be so ingrained in that one aspect that
Yeah.
you kind of get funneled into a well traversed ending.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think because it's not like a mini series, it's like a full season
Right.
of episodes, that they have an opportunity to go kind of take that route.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm excited to watch it, to talk about it. Any last minute notes on the Mandalorian before we move on?
I am hoping that the last episode will involve some shadowy boss level type character who had in the last 20 seconds of the show, leading into the second season, will of course be a live action Hondo Anaka. That's all I want.
I don't
If
really
they're gonna
see
put him
him
in there, put him in
being.
there in the very first episode, or as the villain for the second season.
I don't
Because
really see
I know they
him.
have a live action Hondo costume. They used it for Smuggler's Run, Galaxy's Edge. We could do it.
I
We
don't
could have the
really.
Onaka gang in live action,
I'm fine with.
and then everything will be amazing.
I'm fine with Onaka making an appearance and being even being like a major character, but I don't really see him being able to carry the villain role,
That
especially against
that's why
some.
you put him on the last episode.
Well,
To make you
yeah, but
think like
you
he's a
set
big
him.
bad villain, and then in the next like few episodes, you're like, oh, he's like of the next season.
Gotcha. Okay.
He's not, yeah, not like a whole season long story arc of him being the villain.
Yeah, I was like that wouldn't
He
work.
is too lovable scoundrelly
Right. Yeah,
to
he's
be a
not.
villain for too long.
He barely lasted 2 episodes in the Clone Wars.
He was barely a villain then.
Yeah. Which is hilarious because he's like, the things we see him do is just like, hey, he's kidnapping children and imprisoning people against their will and selling illegal drugs. And we're just like, oh, you rascally scamp, you. Just because he knows how to like quip. No, that'd be cool. I'd love to see some Hondo Anaka. This is actually a good segue, because with Hondo being alive and well in the Black Spire sort of story, which is an in-universe thing that takes place in Resistance, I wouldn't put it past us getting a Hondo cameo in Rise of Skywalker, maybe just as like a background. Nobody actually says anything; he's just kind of there. Or maybe he's one of the ship's captains we cut to in a large battle sequence thing. I could totally see that being a thing.
Okay, if he's in the large battle sequence, he is sitting off to the side, waiting to see which fleet has got the upper hand before making a decision on which side to join. But I am choosing. My headcanon is that in Last Jedi, when they contact Maz and she is in the middle of aggressive negotiations, that she's in the middle of aggressive negotiations with the Onaka clan.
Oh, that'd be so awesome.
That is my headcanon. That just seems like the kind of fun that those two people would have with each other.
Absolutely. Oh, those two characters would work great off each other.
Right? Let's get a show about them.
Well, yeah, so going to the Rise of Skywalker then, there's some stuff that gets me hyped for that too, coming into the trailer. And the music in that trailer is just sublime. And I am looking.
Not sublime. It is definitely not beach bar reggae that we're so used to in Southern California.
Oh, you know what? As soon as I said the word, I knew you were going to say that. Boo. But it's just, it does all the emotional welling at all the right spots. We've talked before about how one of the issues with the sequel trilogy is just trying to cram too many character arcs into the story. We're dealing with the legacy characters, we're dealing with the new characters, and then adding characters. One of the things that I really enjoyed about this trailer in particular is that it seemed to truly only focus on the characters that we know and love, and the ones that we need to see a conclusion to their story. That's not to say their stories can't continue on afterwards. This is Star Wars. It happens all the time. But any new character that comes in, I want them to be treated like new characters that popped into the original trilogy. Like those guys, they didn't have anything about them. They were just like a name and a couple lines.
Yeah.
And then everything was built up to them and around them with other material going forward. So like General Veers was just a dude. And now he's got a following and a backstory and all this kind of stuff. Let that be the new characters. Give us an interesting guy or gal with 2 or 3 lines who's just there to fulfill a little role. And if they're super interesting, let's revisit them going forward. But what I need is appropriate ending stories, appropriate character ending arcs to the characters that we have been going through this series with. And I believe this trailer gives me a little bit of hope that they're really going to focus on that. So that's something I'm excited about. How about you?
Sorry. I was looking for that Onaka badge, and then I just started scrolling through the Google image results for Hondo Onaka, and there are some amazing painted portraits of him that I would very much like to get copies of.
So what I'm hearing is you didn't hear a word that I just said.
So something about story arcs and father years. I don't remember.
I'm father years.
Okay.
My God.
I totally agree with you. I think with The Force Awakens, they're going to introduce us to a ton of characters, and it was the intro to the new trilogy. So I wasn't really expecting there to be much finished story arcs for people. It was going to be a lot of let's introduce these people and send them on their journey. For me personally, where Last Jedi let me down was it kind of felt like a lot of the storylines were rushed if it wasn't focused specifically on Rey, which is fine. She's the protagonist of the new series, so that's all right. But I felt that there was a lot of stuff in Canto Bight that got cut that would have helped to make Rose and Finn's journey a little bit more. I don't want to say compelling.
Meaningful?
Meaningful, yes.
Yeah.
I think that there was 5 minutes that were cut out. So I'm hoping, like, I know this doesn't do the same thing where it takes place right after it takes place. It's like a couple years later or something like that.
I think I've heard 2 or 3 years, which is roughly about the time period we had in between Empire and Jedi, I think.
So it'll be interesting to see how the handful of survivors of Crate reform the Resistance, especially now that there is no Republic to secretly back them.
No, I agree with you. I think the time period in between is gonna pull a lot. And with Last Jedi, the more I think about Last Jedi, my pendulum begins to swing more towards the middle. Which is honestly probably a good thing, because I think there are a lot of people out there who are in my position where we're just like, we saw it, we enjoyed it, and because there was so much kind of hate on it, we just enjoyed it even more out of spite for the people who were yelling at us. And I think the same is, the opposite is true too, where there are people on the other side who didn't like it and just continued to hate it out of spite, where in reality it's probably, a middling film. But the more I think about...
That's right. That's where I've always been. Right there.
Yeah, I know. But
it is not my favorite Star Wars movie.
But it is a Star Wars.
But at the same time, my least favorite Star Wars movie is still a favorite movie.
Right. Exactly. But I think that the more I watch it and the more I kind of look at it, I feel like Rian Johnson wanted to tell the story of Rey and Luke and sidelined everybody else. Like, didn't put as much effort into the Luke Rey. He put all of his effort into the Luke Rey Kylo Ren side and had this messy plot for Finn and Poe and Rose to kind of mess with. And didn't, that could have used some more straightening out, but I don't think it was like his main interest. So that's why I think those sections of the movie are a struggle. And Finn is one of my favorite characters of all time in Star Wars now. And he's definitely my favorite character from the sequel trilogy, but I really felt like the writing let his character down because he just went through the same character arc as he did in The Force Awakens. So he was we just basically saw him do the same thing with that he did in The Force Awakens again in The Last Jedi. And that's another thing, with this trailer is that Finn plays a very big role in the trailer. We've got some voiceover with him talking to Rey. He appears multiple times. He seems to have come into his own as a resistance, as a big deal in the resistance.
Mm.
And I'm really excited to see him get more to do. I'd like to see Poe interacting more with the group because he's been a major character, but he's kind of always been the B story in the movies. So seeing him and Rey and Finn together is a good sign for me. And man, those spaceships, man, and those locales, some of those shots, like the flying iceberg essentially in the middle of space, that looks cool. Fighting on top of wreckage, lightsaber battle on top of wreckage in the middle of a lightning storm in an ocean, that looks awesome. The ships on ships on ships, that looks cool. I'm looking forward to those big moments, but I hope they don't lose the little moments in between those big gigantic scenes. And you know what? I honestly make it 3.5 hours. You're ending a trilogy, which is in itself ending a story that is a pop culture phenomena of absurdly epic proportions. Take all the time you need to tell your story properly, especially in this particular instance. I think we don't have room in this film to leave things wanting. To kind of round off this discussion about what's getting us hyped in these trailers, what are your feelings about Palpatine making a palp appearance in the next movie?
I didn't like it at first. I didn't like in our first trailer that we heard him laughing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, that means he's gonna be in it. I didn't like in this newest trailer all of the Imperial class Star Destroyers showing up. I like Imperial class Star Destroyers, and in any other trilogy or any other time period, specifically closer to the original trilogy, I would have been fine with it. But then the more I thought about it, the more I thought about how this is the end of the whole Skywalker saga, so it has to wrap up stuff from the prequels that didn't get finished.
Right.
It has to wrap up stuff from the original trilogy. It has to set up the Ewok adventures because they may take place in the future. Who knows? They're bizarre movies where Ewoks speak English. Basic excuse. But in Revenge of the Sith, Uncle Pappy is talking to Anakin at that weird Cirque du Soleil in a bubble about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis. Have you heard about this?
Have you heard about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Well, he does mention that Darth Plagueis figured out how to basically become immortal or not die.
They did say that he even found a way to stop people from dying.
I've heard that in this tragedy of Darth Plagueis.
John, is it possible to learn this power?
Yeah, but not from the Jed guys.
Okay.
I don't remember exactly word for word, but I'm pretty sure he insinuated that he knew how to do this.
Well, yeah, that's how he turned Vader, essentially.
Exactly. So him still being alive, or him existing, I should say, because we don't know that he's actually alive,
right,
so to speak. It makes sense to me that he figured out a way to survive falling what appeared to be into a power supply.
I mean, it's one of those things where there's enough precedent in extended universe stuff for him to come back. I was never worried about like the mechanics of it. I think like you, I was kind of nervous about it at first. I think having Papa Palp be the big bad is a good way to tie everything together. Like you said, I agree with that.
Because he's the villain of the entire series.
Right. Yeah. I'm very much looking forward to everything. I think we're gonna get good endings to everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing Rey going full Jedi. I'm really curious to see how Kylo handles going forward. Yeah, I'm stoked. I'm stoked on it. Get a little bit of Billy D. Williams, a little bit of Lando action. So my brain is slowly turning into blue milk. Yeah, no, the trailers themselves I'm really excited for. Any worries I have are pretty minor. I think it's like you said before, it's a Star War and it's going to be a Star War and they're both going to be Star Wars, so they're both going to be fun projects no matter what the result. They'd have to catastrophically screw up everything for me to be like,
See, what I'm mostly interested in this film is, this is gonna sound terrible. I'm mostly interested in an ending to see where they take the franchise next. Do you understand? Like, it sounds
I
like,
I get what you're saying because I know you.
yeah. I'm not saying I can't wait for the sequel trilogy to be over because I hate it. I'm saying I'm hoping it. Like, I can't wait to see what happens when we're not tied to
Focusing.
Skywalker.
Right.
Like, what other stories in this universe are they planning on telling?
Yeah, I get you. No, that's legit. It's just super funny.
There's no gooder way to word that.
I am excited for this to be over. I think that's all I got in terms of talking about what we're hyped for, and I guess we went into some of our worries too, but in the end it's going to be pretty good. You got anything else to add at the end there?
Not really. I have some other worries about it, but I feel like I've talked about things that I'm worried about more than I've talked about things I'm excited for, other than it ending.
Right.
Was not my intention. Let me think of some things I'm interested in. I mentioned that I was nervous about that Star Destroyer fleet. I like Star Destroyers, and when I think a couple weeks back or like a week ago, I brought that up to you, and you were saying, yeah, I saw some rumors online that might be what the new canon Katana fleet is.
Yep.
Or something similar, and that got me right on board again because I have big hearts for Thrawn, very very large, blue-skinned, red eyes hearts for Thrawn.
Why does your heart have eyes?
So it can study your art, dummy.
Whoa!
To me, in my mind, there is a 90% chance that there's no way that that's what that is, but there's that 10% chance that they're like, hey, Katana fleet. We didn't want to make a bunch of Dreadnought models, so we have a bunch of these Imperial class Star Destroyer models from Rogue One, so let's use those.
There you go.
What else? In a totally barely related to the movie thing I'm excited about,
of course,
is that the name of the water planet with all the Death Star debris. You know what I'm talking about? I'm trying to remember what the name of the planet is. I'm gonna Google it.
It's not Endor.
Star Wars and Choppy. Why am I only getting
Camino?
No, not even Camino. I'm getting like NASA reports about Mars.
Well, there's water on it apparently.
And Death Star remains.
Whoa.
Which apparently is named, scrolling through it, Kefbir? English language is weird, and this is not English.
Kefbir.
It was, that planet was announced by Star Tours.
Oof.
And
it's going to be a way more interesting.
I'm all about Star Tours deep cuts.
That is a deep cut.
I like Star Tours. I say it was mentioned by Star Tours. It was part of an announcement from Disney that planet will be added to Star Tours, but I believe it was the first place that planet was actually named by name.
Okay, not to kind of jump on your boat of like things I'm worried about, but that is
not
one
enough
thing.
Star Tours.
Well, it's one of the things that I'm a little worried about is like, oh, the Death Star remains ended up on this planet and all this. I'm like, you're just setting yourself up to have to bend over backwards to explain how the debris got there. Just say it landed on Endor or one of the other planet, or have that new planet be in the Endor system. Like, don't make it harder.
Endor is the giant gas planet that the planet we call Endor orbits, because Endor or the Endor system has if I remember right, has two suns, both named Endor, like 4 planets named Endor. The planet that we know as Endor is a
It's not
moon
even. It's
that
the
orbits
force
around one
of
of them,
Endor.
along with 8 other moons. And then, according to legends, there is also a planet called Elog, Magodi, and Dor. I like Dor. What's going on in
Let's
canon?
go to Dor.
Okay, in canon, it has 2 sets of binary system. Endor and Endor 2 are its suns, and the planets that orbit around it are Endor and Endor. So good job, new canon people.
Well, again, because it's new canon, they can just add stuff. But like, I that they don't make me have to waste brain power on why is this here. Make it easy enough and believable.
And
What?
the Endor that we know and love is referred to as the forest moon of Endor. What if this moon is like every planet in Star Wars, or these moons, and each moon is a different biome? So this would be the water planet of Endor.
Yeah, the water moon of Endor. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. Yeah, just the name of it is what the Ewoks call it in their native tongue. Like, just make it. I don't want to have to. I don't. Here's the thing. I don't want characters to have to waste lines in the movie explaining to me how these Death Star parts got here.
Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
Force magic.
Make it be. Oh, it's one of the planets in the system. Done. Whatever. If it takes more than 2 lines to explain how it got there, then I'm done. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that annoys me because they're just overly complicating things. And it doesn't help that there's been this weird I don't think people remember how little information was given out in the original trilogy. It was the language of movies, show don't tell. And then everything developed around it. Now people are kind of just like, well, this wasn't explained to me outright in 9 paragraphs, 4 different books, and 8 reference documents. So therefore, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. I think that's a current generation movie watching problem. But yeah, don't do that. Rant over. Still excited for the movie, even if they do that.
I just Wikipedia'd Kif beer, and it is in fact an ocean moon. It doesn't say of where, but it does say the Kif beer was an ocean moon.
Well, I'll let you continue going down that rabbit hole. I think we're gonna close up for this little EBN. Couple quick things. Yes, The Mandalorian is coming out soon. We will be watching it and going over it. Yes, we do know that Resistance Season 2 has started back up. That is also on our list to start up Season 2 of Resistance Recon and getting those out to y'all. Also, keep an eye out for announcements about this year's Kessel Toy Run.
Woot.
That's going to start up pretty soon. And, it was really watching the progress of the Kessel Toy Run last year was a really cool, fun, heartwarming experience. And we're happy we got to participate. So if you guys want to participate, we'll have more information at the end of any shows that we make going forward once they get details out to us. And yeah, I think that'll do it. Otherwise, look forward to some special guests, returning guests, and perhaps some collabs with other podcasts coming up here in the next couple months. Nothing really set in stone yet, but we're trying to do more content for you. So yeah, look forward to that. All right, that's all I got.
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Cool. Get stoked. More Star Wars. Bye.
Hashtaggins forth.
Hashtaggins? Oh, hashtaggins. That's a great name for like a halfling in D&D.
Is it though?
Yeah. Oh, my name is Hashtaggins. I don't know why he's a pirate. Yeah, well, don't kill Craig.
Welcome to the post-credit scene, Hoth heads. It's John again. Turns out Ian didn't get around to recording that thing he said he was going to record when we were talking about recording this episode, so I'm here to let you know what's up. The Kessel Toy Run's back, and that's pretty exciting. The Kessel Toy Run is an awesome charity that takes new in-box toys and gives them to kids in hospitals, which is cool, but specifically Star Wars toys, which I think if you're listening to this podcast, you can appreciate. This year, the event is running from November 1st, so already started, to December 18th, and supports the Emergency Department of Memorial Care Miller Children's and Women's Hospital of Long Beach, as well as the Ronald McDonald House of Long Beach. Now, there are a couple ways to donate, one of which being taking a new and undamaged in-boxed Star Wars toy and sending it directly to the Kessel Toy Run at 3217 Carson Street, number 11, Lakewood, California, 90712. Alternatively, they have an Amazon wish list, which I would read the URL for, but it is incredibly long, so I'll put the links in the doobly-doo. Now, I'm sure that there is a ton more information that Ian wanted to get by when he recorded this, but he didn't. So maybe on the next episode. That's it for now. So, we'll see you again when all the entities in the indoor system align and become one large, massive indoor. Does that make sense? I'm gonna turn my mic off now. No.